Many videos on my channel are about the latest greatest bits of guitar gear, but today we're looking at an overdrive pedal that's over 10 years old at this point. It's the Greer Amps Southland Harmonic Overdrive pedal. This is very much an underrated and overlooked overdrive pedal that's been out for over a decade now, and I've only just bought one for myself and I'm really happy that I did so. But what I'm going to do in today's video is tell you all about the Southland, play it for you in as many different musical styles as I can possibly manage, and well, we'll talk about it in the contexts of overdrive pedals, because this is a pedal that, despite being out for over 10 years, has been very much overshadowed by its brother, the Greer Lightspeed Organic Overdrive pedal. The Lightspeed is probably my favourite overdrive of all time. It's probably yours as well if you're watching this. It's fantastic, and it always just makes me feel, sound and play better when I use it, and I always thought that that was the #1 Greer overdrive, or indeed the #1 overdrive pedal of all time. However, Greer Amps themselves developed the Southland not long after they developed the Lightspeed, and they say that it's the perfect partner for it, with some higher gain reserves as well. So I've always wanted to try one, and finally I've had the chance, and I'm guessing that a lot of you have probably always wanted to try one of these but have never had the chance. So hopefully you can vicariously experience this pedal through me in this video. So let's kick into it now. And while I don't want to mention the Lightspeed too much in this video, because this video is about the Southland, the two pedals are totally linked to one another, so it's going to have to be mentioned at some point, and you're going to hear it too in the video as well. But let me kick in first with the info, the specs, what you need to know about the Southland. The Southland came out in 2014, so it's over 10 years old at time of filming, but believe you me, it is still 100% relevant. Now, it's built in Athens, Georgia in the United States of America, and current prices are going to be about $250, a little bit more in euros and a little bit less in Great British pounds. So affordable this is not in that sense. It's certainly in the boutique price category, but no one blinks twice before buying a Lightspeed, and that's the same price or even a bit more than the Southland. Now, in terms of what we've got controls wise here, it's a very simple pedal, just like so many of the Greer overdrives are. We've got a volume control, a drive control and a range control. Now, I'm guessing that 99.9% of you know the Lightspeed. This is a fantastic, transparent, low to medium gain overdrive pedal. The Southland kind of continues where the Lightspeed leaves off, with plenty more gain under the hood and some other tonal differences too. So it comes from the Lightspeed's original platform, but it's got a number of significant differences as well. Greer themselves say that it's based on the Lightspeed's platform, but it has more gain with 2 different stages of clipping. It has a focused mid-range without that annoying hump that certain pedals have, and it also has a bit more presence on the top end to help it really cut through a mix. So the Southland is not exactly the same as taking a Lightspeed pedal on full gain and adding more gain to it. It'll take you to different tonal places, and we're going to hear a bit more of that in the musical part of this video, which is coming up next. Now, my rig for today is going to be running the Southland pedal into the front end of my Hughes & Kettner Black Spirit 200 amp head. Will mostly be on the clean channel with just a smidgen of reverb, and I'll be using 2 guitars today. For single coil tones, I've got my Fender Telecaster. Note that guitar does have a neck humbucker, but I've got it split at all times for true single coil sounds. And for humbucking tones, I'll be using my Epiphone Les Paul. Now, we'll start with the gain down low on the Southland to see if it can do that kind of edge of breakup, sparkly push clean thing that the Greer Lightspeed is just so good at. After that, we'll push the gain up a bit more. We'll go into some rockier, punkier territory, and we'll end up in metal world and see if we can do some chuggy stuff with the Southland, because why not? I'll also use the amp on its crunch channel for a bit so we can hear this as a dirty boost. And yes, we will stack the Lightspeed and the Southland together just to hear how that sounds, because Greer say that is the ultimate overdrive stacking combination. And once I'm done with the riffs, I'll do a little bit of a loop where you get to hear the extremes to which the Southland can go, and we will plug in the Lightspeed too again, just to hear how similar and how different the two pedals are. Lots of music to come then. Enjoy all of that, and I'll speak to you in a bit more detail about the Southland afterwards. Okay then, so that was the Greer Southland Harmonic Overdrive pedal, and I hope you enjoyed the playing, the riffs, and the tones. Please leave me a comment down there telling me what you think of this pedal. Are you a bit like me in that you kind of regret not checking this out for 10 plus years until now? Well, let me know in the comments if you are. But maybe you own this pedal, and maybe you own a Lightspeed and you've compared the two. I'd love to hear what you folks think. As usual, let's get a bit of a discussion going down there as ever. But now it's time for me to tell you my thoughts and opinions about this pedal. I snagged this one secondhand a few weeks ago. Hi Torben, thanks for selling this to me at a great price, and I've been playing it pretty much non-stop since then. Now, the Lightspeed is, as previously mentioned, probably my favorite overdrive pedal of all time. It's just so great for everything that I like to do, and that actually led to me being not disappointed, but a tiny little bit underwhelmed the first time I plugged in the Southland, because I was expecting this to be the Lightspeed on steroids, but it's a little bit different. You know, you have a different mid-range to it, a different presence, a different sort of sizzling high end, and with the extra gain reserves on tap, it is just a different thing completely. It's not the Lightspeed plus one in that sense. It's its own pedal, and as soon as I kind of got into realizing that, well, it opened up a whole new palette of overdrive tones for me. And specifically, when I plugged in my Epiphone Les Paul for the first time, the humbuckers just reacted beautifully to this pedal, and straight away I was getting some huge classic rock tones, amazing hard rock sounds, punk rock tones, and brilliant alternative rock sounds as well. And that's basically all I need as a player, and so I was sold on that front. This is a fantastic sounding pedal all round. Now, if you're someone who uses the Lightspeed for sort of pushed clean, edge of breakup, sparkly tones, and you're using humbuckers, you probably won't get it with the Southland. Straight away with the Epiphone Les Paul, you could hear that it wants to go. It wants to do rocky stuff. Now, with the single coil pickups in the Telly, you get push clean tones with this pedal, but that's really not what it's for. You do need to get a Lightspeed for that, and then use the Southland for the meatier stuff as well. For anything heavier, this is a fantastic sounding pedal. It's incredibly dynamic, it has a really nice rich response, and it just sounds wonderful for many of the genres that I like to play. Now, I did do a sneaky little comparison with the Southland and the Lightspeed, and you can hear that they have some tonal similarities, and you can hear that they have some tonal differences too. But the great thing is to stack them both together, and then you get some wonderful high gain overdrive goodness. It's a fantastic option to have if you get the chance, so I'd thoroughly recommend that you try that out if you can. What else is good about the pedal apart from those wonderful tones? Well, it's built like an absolute tank, like every other Greer pedal, and it's super simple to dial in as well, so I can recommend it heartily on all those fronts. What don't I like about the Southland so much? Well, now I understand where it's coming from. Nothing at all. I love everything about this pedal, and I'm extremely happy with it. I know some of you will be saying that $250 is a lot of money for a pedal, and it is a lot of money, but at the same time, nobody thinks twice about going for the Lightspeed at a similar sort of price, do they? So it's not overpriced if you've got the money for it in that sense. So if you've been watching this video and you like the idea of the Southland, but you're wondering what else could be out there that does something similar, well, we've already talked a lot about the Greer Lightspeed. This is a wonderful, wonderful pedal, and I can only thoroughly recommend it to anyone who's interested, although it has significantly less gain reserves than the Southland. So if you want a Greer pedal that has similar sort of gain reserves, albeit with a different overdrive flavor, you could do far worse than trying the Black Mountain Crunch Drive. Now, this is based on the sound that The Darkness achieved on their iconic Permission to Land album, which I absolutely love, and I bought this pedal myself, and I have a full and thorough detailed video about it elsewhere that you can watch if you like. Highly recommended if you're looking for a different flavor of medium to higher gain overdrive sounds compared to the Southland. And if you want to go completely gnarly, the Guerrilla Warfare, which I also bought myself by the way, is Greer's take on the legendary Proco Rat, and it is an absolutely wonderful take. I think it's probably my favorite Rat pedal that I've ever tried to date. But if you're looking for other pedals that kind of get similar ballpark to this from different makers, you could try something like the Rev G2 or maybe even the Rev G3 pedal. Those are fantastic modded Marshall sorts of sounds. Or you could try the Friedman Dirty Shirley overdrive pedal maybe, or something like a modded Boss Blues Driver could be a great choice, or even the 2025 Marshall JCM 800 pedal. If you're looking for those thick, fat, hard rock sorts of tones similar to the Southland, those pedals are all going to be in with a shout. Or what you could do is grab yourself a Lightspeed and a Southland, stack them together, and have endless overdrive fun. And that's one wish that I have for Greer. If by any chance Greer is watching this, please make a double pedal with the Lightspeed and the Southland in one enclosure. I think that would be a wonderful thing to have access to. But anyway, I hope this video has answered all of the questions that you may have had about the Greer Southland, but if there's anything else you'd like to know, drop me a line down there in the comments. And if there are any other classic overdrive or other pedals that you'd like to see me check out that perhaps aren't fresh in terms of release, but are fresh in that they're very much underrated and overlooked by many guitar players, please let me know down there in the comments, and I shall do my best to get those in at some point, and we'll make more videos about those pedals. If you're still around, would really make my day if you wanted to give the video a like, or maybe even sub to my channel, because that really does help. But that's been it for today. I've been Rich, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.